Hi everybody, I'm David.
And I'm Paul.
And we're with the DiceyReview.com.
And today we're going to be taking a deeper look at Crystal Clans, the two-player card game from Plaid Hat Games.
Crystal Clans is a tactical head-to-head game where players are trying to obtain 4 crystals by controlling crystal zones using one of 6 available factions.
The things that are unique about Crystal Clans is that cards are used as units on a tactical grid. This hasn't been done often. There's also a very unique initiative system in the game that creates a constant push and pull. Lastly, there are dual-use cards that can be either used as units or as a card in battle.
So what are some of the things we like about Crystal Clans? Well, I think first, it's an immersive and broad experience that all comes in one box. You open it up, you're ready to play. There's a lot of stuff in that box, but it's an all-in-one LCG. We've seen stuff like this from Plaid Hat before, and it's great to be able to just open up the box and get going.
Yeah, you don't have to have any prior knowledge. Like, you pick up the box, it's got everything that you need. And they're going to be releasing tons of expansions and things like that we'll mention later. But I feel like even if you just had this box right from the get-go, this would provide hours and hours and hours of playtime just exploring the main 6 decks in the box.
That's one of the things I liked about it too. There's a lot of game in this box when you very first start. I spent a few games playing one clan and really feeling like I dialed in that clan's ability and their strategy and their plan. But I like that there's 6 of them in there. And so when you mix clans against other clans, it's a whole nother experience. So there's just a lot in the box to play around with. And I like as much as there is in the box, so far what I've played, which has been quite a few games, has felt really balanced. Some people say this clan is overpowered unless you play against this clan or this clan. And this clan's really good against this clan, but not so great against that clan. And it also depends on card draw. So the game is really well developed, like you said, and it balances out very well. And most of the matches I've played out have come down to a pretty close match.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of great gameplay here, and it's multifaceted, right? Because it's a tactical combat game, which you have to absolutely react to what your opponent's doing, but it's also very strategic. Like, as you're exploring this deck that you pull out of the box, and I picked the Meteor Clan the first time I played because they looked cool, right? And I gave you the advice, it really helps to know one deck, right? And then you played and you said, well, I think it kind of helps to play all the decks because then you know how to react and everything like that. So there's more than one aspect to it. Like, you have to have a plan because your clan will do its own very unique thing, like we said, and it will play very differently than the other clans in the box. But at the end of the day, you're going to draw a certain hand of cards, and then your opponent is going to do a very specific thing based on what their clan is trying to do. So you have to react to them in the moment as well. So it has both aspects, right? It has the tactical and the strategic, which is very cool. For me, I enjoy it quite a bit.
That was a really good thing about the game I liked as well. I also like the fact that it's a really accessible game. It's easy to learn and it's easy to teach someone. And even if you're not a person who's a Magic the Gathering master or a person who is, you're going to be able to get this game and form a strategy and learn what your clan is good at and can do really quickly and start going through the game. Another thing I like about the game, that being said, it's accessible. It's also short. You can play the game in 25 minutes if a game goes quickly, or it can take a little bit longer. But you play through a game really quickly and you say, let's swap decks and do a mirror match.
Depending on who you play, it might be very short.
It might be very, very short.
Some people are really good at this game already.
Some of the people I played against beat me in 15 minutes.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can knock it out over a lunch break. You can sit down after dinner and play a couple of rounds and feel like you've gotten a great thinky game experience, but at the same time, it doesn't take 2 or 3 hours to play. Depending on who you play with.
Depending on who you play with.
And if you're learning the game, right?
And the thing I like about the game is that it does lend itself to, if you have a player who really loves to dig into strategy and really loves to dig into combos, you can spend a lot of time trying to get that perfect combination with your deck and really figuring out the most optimal move. And if you have a partner that you like playing with that's that way, and you like playing those types of games, you can definitely play those types of games with this game as well.
Yeah. One of the other nice things about Crystal Clans is that there is already a plan for support. One of the things that I really enjoy about Plaid Hat Games is, you're not going to get a core set and then never have any support. There's organized play in the works. There are expansions already announced, expansions in the works. even in the rule book, it mentions that there's a deck building aspect to this game that, the symbols are already on the cards. They had that plan before they ever released the game, but it was one of those things where we don't want to just open up the information fire hose and just blow everybody out with way too many rules and way too many game systems. We want to give you this, not basic, but this more simple version of the game where it's like you learn the basic framework, you learn all of the different strategies that each of these decks and each of these clans will have, and then guess what? Eventually you're going to get to blend them together based on if they share some commonality, right? If they have this symbol, then you can combine these decks and they're going to play completely differently than the base game, that clan in the base game. So I really like that. There is definitely support and definitely going to be more releases, and there's a longer plan for this game than just this release.
One of the great things about that aspect of it too is that I love the fact that when you mention an LCG to a lot of people, they think immediately LCG. I really like deck building. I really like maximizing my combos. I really like putting together different things. That's on the way. It's coming. But I can also still take this game out of the box with my 10-year-old son and play a game in 30 minutes and not feel like it's so over his head that it's not going to be a fun experience for both of us. It's got elements that are coming that are going to give you that deck building experience, that are going to give you that min-maxing experience of working things together, but it still has at its core a very accessible, very strategic, very fun and easy to play game.
Right.
Which brings us down to two of our favorite aspects of this game. Those two being the initiative and the dual use cards. The initiative track is amazing. Everything you do in the game, you use initiative, but the initiative track is shared between two players. As soon as you use your initiative and move that tracker into your player's initiative zone, it's their turn. So you have to decide really succinctly on your turn what you want to do and how much you want to spend. So do I want to be frugal and put, just a few cards out on the board, or do I want to really just blow a lot of initiative to get a crystal, which is super powerful and 1/4 of my win condition, but it also gives you a ton of room to make moves.
Right, yeah, there's so many different strategies, and depending on who you're playing. I mean, I know I was playing the Skull Clan, and everything in the game costs initiative. It really makes you think about what you're doing, even if it's just drawing a hand of cards. You have to spend 3 initiative to do that, and that's going to push it towards your opponent. If you give your opponent any room, they're going to have the ability to react to what you do, and it makes claiming a crystal very attractive and also very scary, because you're sitting there looking at these crystals on the board. You have a choice of 3, and one of them might cost 9 initiative. That's great. That's a 1/4 of a win, but it's also giving your opponent the ability to set up a squad, move that squad, take out your squad, and invade your home base. Like, it's just all of these things that have to go into every decision. And like I said, I was playing the Skull Clan, and I had no cards in my hand, but they have an ability where you can cast from the graveyard. So I was like, do I draw cards ever? Like, I'm just never going to draw cards in this game. I'm just going to keep on playing them because you have that, but it's different if you're playing the Blood Clan. It's different if you're playing, the Flower Clan. You have to think about what you're doing very differently than you do if you're playing, a clan that has that ability, right? So the initiative system is so cool because it's this constant push and pull. It makes the invade action very, very attractive, or milling your opponent or making your opponent discard cards from their deck. That's a very viable strategy, because if you do that and they have to reshuffle, then you get a free crystal, right? So there's all these different things. You have to watch out for that, but you need the crystals to win. So it's this constant push and pull, and the initiative system is really, really smart and well done.
It made the game feel like a real tug of war.
Yeah.
To make a big move, I have to give you a big move. If I make a lot of small moves, it gives you the opportunity to then make another small move. But one of the things that I felt like was really great and balanced that out so well is the dual use cards. And one of the things that I thought was so interesting about that is you may have a card in your hand and it costs 12 to deploy it. And you're like, there's no way I'm deploying this card. Well, guess what? It's also an incredibly powerful battle card.
Right.
When 2 units go to battle, or two clans come to battle, you play a battle card, and based on what your opponent plays, you get a positive or a negative effect. But some of your really high-cost cards are just 2 positive effects for you, and really powerful ones. So you may say, there's no way I'm ever going to put this 9 initiative card out on the deck, out on the table, because there's only 1 crystal left to be claimed, but I can play it in the final battle and pretty much guarantee victory if I happen to have it in my hand. And I love that aspect too, because there's an element of having to try to guess what your opponent's going to play, because certain combinations are strong against other combinations and certain combinations are weak against other combinations. So you're trying to both guess what your opponent's going to play while also getting the best benefit for your own battle and making that decision. And it felt like a really great balance to the initiative track as well.
All right, so based on the components that are in the box, what do we feel the value of this game is? Basically, you have 185 cards, you have a very nice board, and then you have a rule book and one initiative crystal. So that being said, this is a card game that includes a board, basically, which I feel is great, right? Because it makes the game look so much better than just putting cards out on the table, which I thought was a really nice touch. And they are going to be doing a play mat that you can get later, which is very nice. I highly recommend the play mat. But it's a $39.99 MSRP in the U.S. and that's what you get in the box. So the value for that I feel is very fair for sure for what you're getting. But I mean, components, yes, but then also just the gameplay.
Absolutely. And if you couldn't tell by the things we liked about the game, we both like this game
A lot.
But what you look at in the box when you open it, a lot of people say a card game for $40, but it really is more than a card game. It's a card game that's on a board. It's both. And it feels that way as you're playing it. But the other thing that you cannot fail to notice is the gorgeous artwork.
Yeah.
Every piece of artwork in the game is incredibly well done. It's evocative. It's cartoonish and stylistic. Even the scariest and meanest of units aren't so scary and mean that you couldn't play this with your, older game-playing kids and feel like it was inappropriate. It's beautifully done. Everything in the game is beautiful. And for $40, I definitely feel like this is an incredibly good value for the gameplay that you get.
All right, so who is this game for? We mentioned a lot of this earlier in the intro, but if you are a fan of tactical head-to-head, very strategic card games, if you're a fan of collectible card games, if you're a fan of Magic the Gathering, if you're a fan of that type of game, you will definitely love Crystal Clans as well. What I think is beautiful about this design and this production is that is not the only type of gamer that Crystal Clans will appeal to, right? There is, just like David mentioned, there's a ton of accessibility in the box because of everything that Plaid Hat does, the way that they think about their releases and their game designs. It's, the artwork is gorgeous and evocative, and the board is presented in such a beautiful way, right? If you go to a card shop or anything like that, you're going to see people putting down their cards on a white game table, and that's it. It's all about the cards. It's all about the strategic element of it. There's that in this game as well. But at the same time, it is a piece of art, right? It's very evocative. It's very accessible. It's not so in depth that you have all these pauses in gameplay and you have to react to this and you have to do that. There's so much complexity in certain collectible card games or living card games that is good for a lot of people. But at the same time, there are elements of that here while also being, like I said, appealing enough to where you could draw in people who aren't ready for that.
Right. That's one of the things I loved about this and who I would say this game is for. When I say almost anyone, I don't say that just to be broad. I say it is for almost anyone because if you are that Magic the Gathering player or you are that living card game player, you can play that game and get the same feeling. You had mentioned that you got the Magic the Gathering feeling as you were playing this game of putting your clans together in a really unique way and comboing abilities in a really unique way. When I play games, I tend to get a little bit frustrated if I feel like there's a optimal win strategy and I haven't found it yet because I haven't played the game enough. I played this game and it immediately felt like I was doing well with the clan I was playing.
Right.
And I realized later there are things I could have done better, but it was accessible enough that I had a lot of fun just playing around with the game system. So it's an approachable game, and if you have a friend that you're trying to bring into living card games or collectible card games, might be a really great way to introduce them to that type of system, and you might just find yourself coming back to Crystal Clans more and more because it offers you a lot of that type of feeling.
Well, and one of the most difficult parts about the living card games and about the collectible card games is you can spend, and I have spent, hours and hours and hours on forums and on deck building websites and everything. Like, I have this really great idea. You're brewing strategies and ideas and decks, and the thing is, you have to create those, you have to come up with those, you have to test them out. Most of the time, they don't work for me.
I have the same experience.
But the thing is that the strategy, while they are many for each clan, like there's multiple different avenues that you can go. Like it's built in, right? You can hand somebody the water clan and they are going to know based on, okay, this is my special ability, my cards kind of do this. It'll take a little while for them to kind of get acclimated to what that deck does, but at the end of the day, the deck is already built. You don't have to spend the time learning what each card does. It's already in that deck, and then you can learn as you play, and the strategies will become apparent to you.
For most people who are familiar with any type of strategic head-to-head type of game, you're going to learn a few basic rules and very intuitively know how to play this game. If you enjoy those types of things, or if you enjoy just playing games head-to-head against someone else with a lot of push and pull and never feeling like any one person is clearly on top, this game is probably going to be for you. And now on to our final thoughts, and do we recommend this game? I have to start by saying that this game isn't going to be for everyone. If you're the alpha gaming, ultimate strategy building, perfect Magic player, it might not be for you. If your gaming experience is limited to Old Maid and Go Fish, then it might be a little bit over your head. It's probably not for your group game night, unless everyone wants to bring a copy of Crystal Clans, which is fun, but it's not the game to set down at a table of 5. If you're a person who doesn't like any player interaction, then, well, that's all this game really is. But other than that, I think it's pretty safe to say I would recommend it for most people who enjoy games like this.
Well, and I think for me, I have to use myself as an example of, my tastes are very, very broad. My go-to is probably a strategic Euro game, and I don't typically enjoy a ton of player interaction, but I really enjoy Crystal Clans. It's one of those things where, yes, it is not a party game. It's not going to be, an abstract game where you're really just trying to kind of figure out the puzzle most effectively just for you, right? There is player interaction here. It is a direct game with plenty of interaction with your opponent, and while that's not my typical go-to, as you can probably see from the shelf behind us here, it is one that I enjoy quite a bit and play as much as I can. And I don't get too hung up on the fact that somebody is moving into my zone or attacking me, because that's the point of the game. It doesn't feel malicious or anything like that. It just feels very strategic and engaging. So yes, if you're on one end of this spectrum, right? If you're at one extreme or the other, if you like very simple games, or if you like only very complex, very crunchy, the most extreme Magic the Gathering strategist, right? You may not lean towards this. But you might also enjoy a lot of elements of this game. There are things that I like in this game better than the design in Magic. I like the initiative system. It's the first time I've seen that before. It's very unique. It's very, very cool. The dual use cards. It has a lot of things that games like that don't. So, while you may not enjoy it if that's your only go-to, there are a lot of elements that you may enjoy. That are in this game as well. So.
And to add on to the player interaction element of it, I normally stray away from it as well. Even if I'm playing a game where player interaction is a possibility but not a necessity, I typically avoid it. I'm a non-confrontational player. This game feels more like a push and a pull, not like a, ha, I got you. And I also like the fact that battles affect both clans. I take out this many of your guys and you take out this many of my guys. So it doesn't feel like a mean game in any way. It just feels like a game where I'm trying to take the advantage of you and you're trying to take it right back from me. And, so it definitely feels approachable, fun, light, but still strategy and still tactics. So for me, those are the things that shine, and those are the things I can recommend about it.
So would you recommend?
I would recommend.
I would recommend too. We recommend. All right, everybody, that was our review video. We hope that it was helpful and we hope that it was informative.
If you'd like to hear more from us, you can check out our podcast, The Dicey Review, wherever you get podcasts. And make sure to check out our website, thediceyreview.com, for our written articles. You can find us on social media pretty much anywhere at The Dicey Review. And please check out our guild on BoardGameGeek.com.